adventure begins now! Ah! Get it up, get it up, get it up!
Welcome back to the Airing Austin YouTube channel. Today, our video is going to be a little different. We've never done a video like this before. We're talking about the Super Mario Bros. Movie. We're going to be talking a little bit more detail, a little bit more spoiler territory. So for those of you who do not want spoilers, go check out my other video of my spoiler-free movie review for the Super Mario Bros. Movie. And I think that's what we are really going to be diving into today. The overall, like, the realm of movie review critics these days, and just how wrong a lot of them are and how annoying it is for cinema. I feel like none of these movie reviewers these days have taken a marketing class ever in their life. Like, they don't understand the basics of marketing and what these movies are targeting to and what they are trying to accomplish and whether or not they hit those accomplishments. Because the Super Mario Brothers movie, it is fundamentally a well-made movie. It aims for kids, and it does just that. It aims for adults who love the games, and it throws in all the Easter eggs as well. Literally, like, it kind of reawoken some old memories. It jogged some memories of mine from the olden days of N64 and back when I was a wee little baby. I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that imagery in so long, and it was so beautiful to see, especially with the art style and animation that Illumination provided us. I mean, just how beautiful can they make these movies? It's insane. I mentioned the water physics in my other review. I actually watched Jeremy Jahns and Chris Stuckman afterwards, and they kind of reset a few things I mentioned, and I'm like, oh, great, a few people are going to think that I stole that from them. But no, it's just that good that a lot of us notice it, and a lot of us say a few things about it, especially with the 80s music. I actually had a recent YouTube comment tell me that Mario actually did come out in the 80s, and so it actually kind of does make sense that the music they chose was more 80s inspired, and it really just changed my mind. I flipped immediately, and I said, okay, yeah, no, the 80s music, I think that kind of works. It's almost like an Easter egg nodding to the time that the Super Mario Bros. that franchise actually came out and released in the 80s. I actually really dug it because not only did they use the music from the games and kind of remastered it, rescored it kind of, they also added the 80s music, which was also fundamentally pretty good given the movie that we're watching. It marketed to the right people. The people who grew up in the 80s, they're coming to watch this movie. They're going to enjoy those songs. They're going to enjoy the characters. They're going to enjoy the progression of some of these characters, especially for me, someone who really enjoyed Peach in the movie. I didn't like her character in the games. Of course, you just go off and you save her. But yeah, throughout this movie, they made her a very well-likable character, a character who got stuff done.
Bowser is coming. Together, we are going to stop that monster.
How? Look at us. We're adorable.
In fact, I'd say, carried most of the plot in the movie. Peach, I mean, everything ultimately revolved around her, and Mario and Luigi were just kind of there for the ride. Bowser was after her. Like, she was essentially the main character. She was like the character that everyone wanted to diverge onto. So that really made her the focal point for me. And that's essentially why I loved Peach as a character in this movie. Surprisingly, I was not looking forward to Peach at all this movie. In fact, I would have said if you had asked me like in like the rank of characters I was looking forward to the most, I'd say Luigi, Mario, blah, 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 and then Peach at the very end. We've seen her in the game. She's not anything interesting. But that being said, I want to get back to talking about some of these movie reviews too. I saw a few on Rotten Tomatoes, and I kind of want to look at a few of these. I know Moist Critical did a few of these videos as well, but I wanted to personally look myself, and it's just, it's nerve-wracking reading some of these. Like, for instance, this one. Kids may have the time of their lives watching the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Exactly, the movie does target that. But for most adults, this game is over. Okay, if you target most adults, you're targeting no adults. With marketing, you have to find a niche. You have to find a target audience. If an adult is going to go and enjoy this film, they know they're going to go and enjoy this film because this is a Super Mario Bros. Movie. They know exactly what they're getting into. Not some strange guy is going to walk into the movie theater and say, oh, I'm going to go watch this movie I've never heard of today. Not many people do that because most people respect their time. Not a lot of people have time to go to the movie theater and go watch a random movie that may or may not land for them. You have to target target your audience with these movies. It's kind of like with YouTube. For example, my YouTube channel, we are basically a media channel. We focus on video games, movies, all the sorts. I just don't really have the time to do a lot of it because I work a full-time job. It takes a while to create the content. We like to focus on movies and games specifically. I would like to get into some other mediums at some point, but again, really just trying to niche down even more as well, just trying to figure it out. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. I'm a movie review channel. Someone who is looking for a YouTube channel based on books, you know, they're going to come to my channel and be like, oh, this isn't for me. And then, you know, if they left me a bad review, that's not really fair. And that's what these reviews are. Let me go ahead and read one more of these real quick. I found myself wanting more, as if I was only getting a part of the experience. But the Super Mario Brothers movie is not intended to work in the same way that conventional films do. Okay, yeah, this person is exactly understanding the point. They're making a movie about Mario. Mario, the whole plot is going to save a princess. It's a very cliche, overdone movie or storytelling tactic where it really utilizes making the female the weaker point that needs to be saved. And this movie, it actually kind of flips that script ever so slightly. And it just kind of builds on that and focuses on the Easter eggs. It throws it out. It's not about the cinematic enjoyment. It's about expanding a brand. Okay, this review actually entirely gets it, and I appreciate that. James, thank you. Thank you for actually understanding this. Unlike most of these critics, yeah, that's exactly the point. It's a fun watch. It's colorful. Kids love it. Adults who enjoy the franchise, they're going to love it. It builds the brand. It gives the already existing audience, those people, something to enjoy, something new to appreciate about this universe. Because Nintendo, we don't really have a lot of movies. We don't really have a cinematic universe, and this could, you know, be the beginning of that. We could possibly see a Zelda movie, a Metroid movie, and we are personally excited for that. That corner of the market, we are excited for that. Lots of these movie reviews are focusing on the mass market, but that's just the thing. Nobody enjoys every single movie. And that's why even like the higher end movies, let's say like Avengers Endgame, people like it, people dislike it, but it's still considered cinema to most people. Some people say it's not because it's superhero based, or I don't know, let's talk about the Godfather franchise. I mean, lots of people consider that like peak cinema, but then there are people like me who just kind of find it, you know, kind of boring. I'm not really too into it. I understand and appreciate it, but it's not something for me. And that's just, you know, how marketing is. It's not targeted to someone like me. It's just bumming me out that most of these movie reviewers and even some on YouTube, they just don't understand the core concept of this film, what it was trying to achieve. And it did achieve all of its goals. This movie hit all the marks. It kind of like Puss in Boots: Last Wish. Nobody was expecting it to be good, but it set out to do a mission, and it accomplished that mission. And it added so many unique cinematic styles, like with the art. The changing art did give me a little bit of a headache in the Puss in Boots movie, but I did overall enjoy it. It was very interesting. It reminded me a lot of almost anime, and I'd have to say Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And also the storytelling was pretty bare bones, just like the Super Mario Bros. Movie. But let's go ahead and talk more about the Super Mario Bros. Like spoiler details in depth. So one of the things that actually really bothered me throughout this movie was the fact that Bowser kept getting all of this information. And so I thought, okay, there's a spy in the Mushroom Kingdom, someone near Peach. Is it Toad? Who is it? Who could be providing all this information to Bowser? Why is he able to learn all this? Because throughout the movie, he learns that Mario's with her, that Mario might possibly like her, that Peach might possibly like him back. It's like, who is providing Bowser all these details, especially on like maybe where they're even at?
But there's one problem. There's a human, has a mustache, just like you.
It just didn't really make sense to me. And I expected by the end of the film for that to tell me, but Bowser, he just kind of knows. And it's kind of resembling the games in that way, where he kind of looks into a ball, he's like, and he sees stuff go down. It's simple storytelling, and it lands the mark with that 90-minute runtime. I appreciate the runtime on this movie, by the way. It's shorter than most films I typically see. Now, a lot of people are going on about Luigi having been an amazing partner to Mario, Chris Pratt and Charlie Day, their chemistry in the voice acting booth, it was pretty amazing. And the fact that this movie splits them up and basically throughout the entirety of the movie, people are really chiming on that, saying, okay, well, that bothers me a lot. Personally, for me, I didn't really get too bothered by that because Luigi, he wasn't really that interesting of a character. He was always just kind of built up for a character that Mario had to take care of. And so it kind of made sense why he was the one chosen to be the character to save rather than Peach. That's what I mean earlier on when I said it kind of flips the script a little bit. It makes Luigi, this male character, the one that we have to go and save. And that's something that I really enjoy about the screenplay. It flips the script and it's more modernized, and we're focused on saving a male, Luigi, while Princess Peach, she's kind of like the focal point of the whole movie, but she's a background character who's the focal point of the movie. It's really interesting. It's kind of like, in the sense, if you've ever seen The Great Gatsby, we're not focusing on the main character. We're focusing on someone watching the main character do everything that they need to do to make the film move forward. And it's something similar here with the Mario movie, and I thought that was, in fact, some cinematic genius added to the script. And that's something I personally enjoyed about the film. Now, of course, I don't think this video would be complete without me talking about Chris Pratt as Mario. I did mention my thoughts in the spoiler-free review, but I'm going to go ahead and mention a little bit of them and go more into detail on that here. Chris Pratt did a phenomenal job as Mario. That being said, he was honestly one of the weaker performances throughout the movie. I feel like everyone just kind of met like the baseline. Everyone except for, I'd say, Bowser. Bowser went over and above. He performed very, very well. Everyone else, it just kind of like, okay, we're there. That's good enough. And that leads back to my point of the movie taking on missions and accomplishing those missions. Chris Pratt as Mario, he made the mission of being Mario, and he succeeded, because throughout the whole film, I never once thought, what's Chris Pratt doing? Like, I never thought like, oh, that's Chris Pratt's voice. In fact, one of the voices throughout the movie that bothered a lot of people was that of Cranky Kong, and I think that kind of bothered me the most too. In fact, he might be like my least favorite character, but I don't really consider him a character. He's more of like a background just thing that propels the plot forward in a very weird, misguided way. So honestly, a few things that threw me off about this movie was the fact that Mario and Luigi, they're from our world. They're from Brooklyn. I actually never knew that. I never watched the original movie back in, like, what was the 90s, the 90s movie, Super Mario Bros. In the 90s. I actually never saw that. I just heard lots of things. I saw the trailer and I'm like, okay, that doesn't look good. Overall, I just didn't know that they were from Brooklyn, and so the beginning of the movie actually really threw me off. I thought everyone was already incorporated into this universe that is like the Mushroom Kingdom and Donkey Kong Land and literally everywhere else. I was a bit taken back by that, but it by no means like took me out of the movie. I was just like, oh, okay, interesting. So it's like every universe is connected through these pipes. And so like these pipes are some kind of like godlike sentient almost things that are a connective tissue to a bunch of like universes. And it even implies like, oh, Princess Peach, you are probably from our universe because you are human. And she goes on to say, well, there's a massive amount of universes out there, so maybe I'm not. And it's really fascinating to me because I was like, how many other universes are out there? Because I never actually played all of the Mario games. Sure, I've played a fair handful of them, but never really got, delved into all of them. Like, I don't think I've ever played Super Mario Galaxy. As a casual fan of Mario, I don't know, but it's something that really opens up your eyes and makes you think in the movie. And as an adult, I appreciate that kind of commentary throughout the film. It really makes me think about the movie and establish a sort of connection, a kinship. And it makes me think of some interesting world building that takes place throughout the film. And by golly, if you guys know me, I am a sucker for some world building, some character development, a good coming of age story with a good mystery. I'm always going to be there on top of that. Personally, for me, one of my favorite aspects of the Mario universe is Mario Kart. In fact, they keep adding new maps. It's a pretty popular gaming franchise. And I think if I had to have another gripe with the film, it's the fact that they didn't actually have a race with the Mario Kart. It's more so that they were trying to get from one point to another point. And I was kind of taken back by that in I'd say a more negative way than anything else. It wasn't anything that made me feel upset because the Easter egg, it still was there. It was still incorporated into the film, much like other Easter eggs in this movie. but I just wish that it kind of got delved into slightly more. But I also understand that they didn't have time to do that because the plot, told us we have to continue on with the movie. Let's go this direction. And so because there wasn't an actual race between characters, I was kind of almost let down a little bit, but that's just a personal bias. That doesn't really affect the whole movie. I was just kind of slightly let down, but it didn't really stop my enjoyment of the film because I still, at the end of the day, got to see Mario Kart in a Mario movie, and I got giddy. I enjoyed it. One of my all-time favorite moments of this movie was the very last scene where Mario and Luigi face off against Bowser. It felt like something out of an epic anime moment, and I was there for it. With the moment when Bowser kicked both of their faces in, and they did not flinch, but like the rocks behind them like crumbled away, I'm like, Bowser is in for a beating, and I was there for it. I loved it. It was such a hyped up, built up moment seeing Mario and Luigi get beaten down every single time by all these other characters, whether it was the guy at the beginning bullying them or Bowser himself kicking the crap out of Luigi. It was insane what they did, especially with the animation. Speaking more on the art style and direction, I thought that it was interesting that Mario and Luigi, they looked a lot different than most other humans in their universe. I mean, their family kind of sort of looked like them. You saw some features resembling them, but when you compared to people walking down the sidewalks or people that they knew in the plumbing business, they always looked slightly different. And it's something that kind of took me out of the film because then I thought, okay, so do they actually belong in this other universe? Because they more so fit over there with the art style that's given in this scenario. Like they didn't change from art style from Brooklyn to art style to over here. And I think that was just to keep the consistency throughout, because I think that's something that Puss in Boots actually failed to do. They could not manage a unique art style consistently. They kept switching back and forth, and overall, that movie kind of gave me a headache, but I could still appreciate the amazing art style. That was a beautiful movie. That movie had no right being that good. But no, Mario kept it very consistent, and I kind of liked it, but I can also kind of see the points that it was trying to make with Puss in Boots in fitting into a certain points of the story. So we did kind of mention a little bit more about their vocal performances throughout the film, and this movie starts out with an incredible joke because in the beginning you hear Mario and Luigi and they both have Italian accents, and I was kind of on board with it. I'm like, oh my gosh, did the trailers trick us into believing that like it actually just sounded like Chris Pratt being Chris Pratt and this is how they actually sound? No, it was all just a trailer. They all made a commercial for their plumbing business, and then they started talking like normal, and they're like, is the Italian accent too much? And they kind of make a joke on it. I feel like they kind of made that scene after the trailers came out and tackled it in, but I'm not sure because that scene also plays into the fundamental core of the ending scene where Mario just does not want to give up. So I'm not entirely sure on that point, but I still adored it. I thought it was funny. I think they kind of predicted the outcome of Chris Pratt announcing himself as Mario, and they played into that. So that was a very smart move. I loved that scene a lot. Speaking more on that and the performances, did Chris Pratt change his voice from the trailer to the movie? Because for me, it felt so different. When I watched the trailer, I'm like, oh my God, Chris Pratt. It's just his voice. But when I watch the movie, I'm consistently thinking this is Mario being Mario. And it feels weird. I need to go back and watch the movie, I guess, or get it on DVD and compare it side to side with the trailer because they sound different when I think back on it, but maybe it's just like some kind of weird effect on my brain making me think otherwise. I think it was the line where he says, "Mushroom Kingdom, here we come," or "here I come," or whatever. That line wasn't even in the movie, so maybe that line was it. I don't know. At the end of the day, if you aren't a Mario fan, this movie, it's not for you. If you say the plot is like paper thin and boring, you haven't played the games. Or if the movie is too confusing for you, it's the most simple plot I've ever seen. So I don't really know how to help you there. Maybe go back to school. The movie is fine. The movie is perfectly A-okay. It's by no means a cinematic masterpiece, but it sets out to do something, and it does just that. And it nails each and every point it tries to make. This movie, it's a good movie. And for anyone who says otherwise, they're mad at something, or they're mad at themselves, or they're a nihilist, much like the Luma in this movie.
The only hope is the sweet relief of death.
Whoa! Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Match that with the animation that Illumination provided us and the art style they gave us. I'm on board. This movie was fantastic, and yeah, if you don't like the movie, you're just not a Mario fan, and that's okay. Thank you again for watching my spoiler movie review of the Super Mario Brothers movie. I had a good time with this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys thought of the movie down below. Who was your favorite character? Let's have a little discussion. Was the movie good? Was it bad? Let me know why. Also, if you guys liked the video, be sure to leave a like down below. Leave a comment. All the engagement helps out tremendously with the channel. We are currently trying to get our watch hours up. And also, if you guys are new here, hit subscribe. We are talking about movies, gaming, media, really any of it all the time. So be sure to check that out. We live stream. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. We're a cute little tiny knit community. So be sure to hit subscribe and join in. Otherwise, guys, my name's Austin, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.